Today I'm going to show you a super simple woodworking project that looks great and solves a real problem: organizing your hats. This wood hat holder is quick to build, just 30 minutes or less, even if you're just getting started. It's practical, space-saving, and way better than tossing your hats on a chair or a shelf. You only need a few basic tools to build it, and there's no fancy hardware or complicated joinery, so how does that sound? And at the end of this video, I'll give you tips on selling and marketing these. Tools that you'll need is a miter saw to cut the boards to length, and you need a brad nailer, or I'm going to use a narrow crown stapler. If you don't have either of those, you can just use a drill and some screws. We're also going to need, for supplies, we need a paint can, any size, any color, doesn't matter. We're just using it for the shape. And also the lumber that we're using, it's a 1x6 pine board. Its actual dimensions are 5.5 inches wide, 3/4 inches thick, and you'll need 3 foot of this. From our 1x6, we're gonna need 3 cuts at 9 inches long and then 2 cuts at 4 inches long. I'm gonna cut this board, this end off, start with a fresh end, and then mark and measure at 9 inches. I'm using 2 pieces of scrap wood. I'm gonna cut these knots out. So if I try using that, that's gonna give me some problems trying to nail into that. Cut it 4 inches. Make sure your board is flush up against that fence. You want to make sure your pieces are cut the same length, especially those 4-inch pieces. And if they are not, you can go ahead and shave some off right now. Now we need to choose which board is going to be our front piece that we're going to see. So you want to pick out your nicer one. Usually I just pick out one, no knots. So make this my front board. We're going to mark and measure from both ends 1.5 inches from each end. And then about in the middle ways down, you want to go down 2 inches. And these are just giving us guide points for our tracer. And we're going to set it right within these guides and then trace our shape. And that's going to give us our cut line. Now we can take this to our scroll saw and cut it out. When cutting this out on a scroll saw, I leave the line, and whatever my scrap side is, the blade stays just on the inside so I can still see that line while I'm cutting. Now, you don't have to use a scroll saw, you can use a bandsaw or even a jigsaw would work fine. All right, now I'm going to sand all of these pieces, including where I just cut. I want to really kind of round that off, all the edges and the faces as well. Now we're ready to assemble this. I'm going to use 1 1/4 inch long narrow crown staples. You can use a brad nailer, or if you just have screws and a drill, that works as well. But I would pre-drill all of these if you're using screws, unless you're using trim head screws. So I'm going to start with the front piece, and the 2 4-inch pieces, those are going to be the sides. So I'm going to put those behind it here. So I'm just going to staple in from the face into the side there. Make sure you keep your nailer straight so it doesn't blow out the side anywhere. I'm gonna do 1 on each side first. Make sure you keep your hands back case it does blow out, it doesn't get your finger. Okay. So we got 2. I'm gonna do the back piece next. Turn it around. Make sure your ends are flush. Okay, now that I've got 1 staple around each joint at the bottom, I'm gonna add 2 more going up. Now I'm going to add the bottom, and I'm gonna add some glue this time for just a little bit of added strength. Don't use a lot of glue, just a small bead, because I don't want the glue coming out of the edge because the stain will not take to the wood glue. Find a flat side, put that on the bottom, and make sure your ends and your edges are all flush, and then go ahead and nail or staple this on. Okay. I'm going to putty these holes here to cover up the staples. Now I'll do a final finish sanding where I'll sand the putty off and get any spots that I missed. Now we're ready to stain this, and I'm going to stain this with Minwax Weathered Oak. It's a really light stain, got like a hint of gray to it. It's not a bold stain, just really kind of a natural look to it. But I'm gonna do the inside and the outside. Now here's where the marketing magic comes in. The customization possibilities are endless. If you have a laser engraver or can stencil with paint, you can personalize these with names like Dad's Hats or Grandpa's Collection. You can also put their actual name on here, like Todd's Hat. You can paint them in team colors and add text like baseball hats for the sports fanatic or golf caps for the golfer. Think about targeting specific professions too, such as a mechanic. You could even do hobby-specific versions like fishing hats or hunting caps. The beauty is that each customization turns this simple hat holder into a targeted gift that speaks directly to someone's interests. These only cost a few dollars in materials. So plain, I would sell these for, $20, $25. But if you customize them, then you can get $35 to $40. So whether you're making one for your dad or thinking about this as something to sell, the customization options make this a winner every time. If you liked this project, low cost, high profit, then you'll love the membership. That is the place to be for easy woodworking projects like this. I have a link in the description where you can find out more information.